I started sharing now. Try to record the whole session today rather than just the lecture part. And I'm gonna publish it, as I said, next in the previous section on YouTube. So if you guys have problems with your voice or faces be on YouTube on my channel, just please tell me at any point. We can work that around. So just let me know. With that said, let's start. Hello, everyone. Welcome to third episode of Reactiveland. So this episode's title is Fishing Net. You remember, guys, from the last episode that we talked about rivers, fishes in the rivers, flow of the water, garbage is in the river. So if you guys remember, what was the fish in the river?
The data that we're interested in.
Yeah, thank you. So with that said, you might already guess that what is a fishing net. So we use the net to grab the fishes. So we gonna talk about some sort of net, some sort of filtering today. So actually this one, yes, fishing net. So yeah, you might have already guessed it. It's about filters, it's about conditions, it's about grabbing subset of fishes or all of the fishes from the stream. The only difference here is that when we use fishing nets, we get the fishes that we want out of the river. But in reactive streams, we put a net there to actually take out the fishes that we don't want in the stream. So what remains in the stream after the net is what we care about. So that's the notion of filtering. But yeah, we're gonna go through that in more details soon. As usual, we start with comparison of the classic way, imperative with declarative. So in an imperative classic Java, you can define an integer. You can check if it's even, and if it's even, you do something. It's just you write if, and you can write another if. You might want to do that. You check if it's null, and then if it's null, you give it a number. It seems to be a default number if it's already null. So you know that in this case, 12 is default, and then you continue. If you want to do the same thing in a reactive stream, when you have a mono, for example, and if there's a number in the mono, instead of writing if, you just add a filter to your stream. So a filter is like this. It has a lambda, and you put some sort of Boolean here. That's your condition. And if you want to check if something, like do something equivalent to null, if checking if something is null. So if we talked about empty monos in the first session or the second session. So if your mono is empty and you want to do something about that, you don't check if it's null. There is no if, there is no null, but there is a notion of emptiness. So if it's empty, you can do something like switchIfEmpty or defaultIfEmpty, and you will do something in that case. But the APIs are, we're gonna go through the details of the APIs later. Let's start with filter. So here I defined a mono, simple mono. It has a number inside it. I do filter, and there is a lambda here, and this lambda either returns true or returns false. So 54 comes inside this filter. We have it here as a number, and there's a condition about it. If that condition becomes true, then you're gonna have 54 passing this filter going to the map and the rest of the flow. But if this is false, your mono in this case, in this very case, it becomes empty because there's only one element here, and this filter gonna filter it because the condition turns out to be false. So there is no element left in the stream. So the stream becomes empty. And you can see what I meant by the difference between phishing net and filter. Because if it was exactly like a phishing net, you would have taken the fish out of the stream if it was true. Because when you do phishing, you take the fishes out of the stream. That's what you want. But this filter, you say what should be pushed out, what is useless, what you filter what you don't want out, and you keep what you want in the stream. So let's say this becomes false, the mono becomes empty. Now you have different options. One option is to use defaultIfEmpty. And when you want to use defaultIfEmpty, let's say there is some empty mono here, you use it like this. You just put some value there, some fish there, let's say. So you have a mono of X type X. Then in the defaultIfEmpty, you just create a new X or a constant X that you have somewhere, or a variable of X that you have somewhere, doesn't matter. The catch is that what you put here should be of type X. Otherwise, it will create a compilation error. Yeah, sometimes it's like that you have some maps in between, something like this. You have a X, you have a mono of, you start your mono with type X, you change it to a string. So after this line, your river becomes of type a string. So imagine somehow it becomes empty here, but it's kind of empty a string in a sense. It's a mono that is of type a string, but it's empty for a reason. So your defaultIfEmpty should return a string, although you have started with X, but you need to do a string here. So the last step, the last part, the last type of your string is the type of your defaultIfEmpty. If you put defaultIfEmpty higher than this map, then you should put something of type of the thing that is above that. We will see this in examples. I hope that I'm explaining it clear enough. And so what we did with defaultIfEmpty is that we just put some value there, some basic value, nothing fancy. So we know that if this string turns out to be empty, the default value is some string. If 54 is not satisfying this condition, then we put, we can use this example. We put defaultIfEmpty here and we put a number that we know is the default number and we want it. It's similar to optional. When we do optional dot or else, we know that like if the optional is null, we in the else part we put something that we know gonna work. It's like our default value. It's like a plan B. So there is another option. You can use switchIfEmpty. What is the difference? The difference is that when you do switchIfEmpty, instead of putting a value there, you put a mono there. So it means that you change you basically interchange the main mono, the main stream, with another stream. And you do it when the main stream is empty, becomes empty. So it's just similar to defaultIfEmpty in terms of when it gets called, in terms of typing, but the input is another stream, another mono. And yeah, in terms of typing, as I said, it's similar to defaultIfEmpty. So if I start with a mono of type X, then I map it to mono of type string, and I do switchIfEmpty here. Since here in this part, my mono is of type string, what I put here in the switchIfEmpty should be another mono of type string. So like, let's say we call one of our services to see the customer balance and we don't get anything, and we know if that returns empty, there might be a customer balance in another service somewhere else, then we put that call here.